This is CNN International.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CNN Computer Connection. I'm Brian Nelson. On our show today, first, a look at internet sites devoted to the memory of Princess Diana. And then we'll move on to traveling. Pack your bags and your palm top for a more organized vacation. And then enter the world of Final Fantasy VII. The web, like much of the mainstream media, has always shown a fascination with Princess Diana. There were plenty of gossipy websites devoted to what she did, what she wore, and whom the mother of the future King of England was dating. But upon news of her accident and of her tragic death in that Paris tunnel, suddenly celebrity trivia transformed into respectful mourning. At Buckingham Palace, at Kensington Palace, and at British outposts worldwide, a sea of tributes to the woman dubbed the People's Princess. On the internet, thousands more shared this moment of grief with digital condolences that were no less heartfelt. Memorials have become an established genre on the web, but observers say that this outpouring for Diana is unprecedented.
A lot of it is just sort of a spontaneous outpouring of grief, which does seem, seems pretty new.
The official Buckingham Palace website has been swamped with visitors determined not to let the week pass without delivering a final personal farewell to the princess. Mirror sites sprung up to copy the condolence page and to give those who couldn't reach the official site an opportunity to see how the royal family is dealing with Diana's death. Yahoo, the internet search engine, assigned a team of internet surfers to do nothing but look for Diana sites, and their links include everything from news articles on the accident and investigation to message boards and live chats. 16-year-old Nicholas Paulin in Traverse City, Michigan, went to work on his web tribute just hours after hearing the news of Diana's death.
She was so in touch with everyone, you felt like you always knew her. You felt like you've met her, even though I've never met her. And I just really miss her.
His Princess Diana Memorial web ring contains over 100 linked sites in tribute to Diana. Peter Trabasso's site is a labor of love, taking much of his evenings and early mornings. And he has received email from people all over the globe.
A lot of the responses through email have been just very verbose and very descriptive as far as people expressing their emotions. It's been very intense.
Anger and sadness, interwoven as Diana's fans and admirers cope with this tragedy, which many take personally.
In one way or another, we all attended her wedding. You know, we all went through her trauma of divorce and separation. And in some ways, she is like within our orbit. And so we grieve for her in that respect.
And so that grief floats amid a sea of flowers, on sidewalks, and in saddened corners of the internet. Now, there was plenty of other news this week, and we have a jam-packed newsreel. Let's go quickly now to our tech desk in San Francisco. And standing by, here's Greg Lefebvre. Greg.
Thanks, Brian. Apple Computer is getting back the license that allowed Power Computing to make and sell Macintosh clones. Apple is buying the key assets of the clone maker, which will turn over its customer list and technology. Power Computing will switch to making clones of Windows machines. By the end of the year, personal information will again be available from the Social Security Administration over the Internet. Don Knapp has details.
The last time Social Security tried to put benefit information on the Internet, some feared too many people would benefit. Clever snoops who could tap into other people's private business, see their job history, how much money they made, even the income taxes they paid or didn't pay. Those complaints forced Social Security to pull the plug after just 1 month. Now, after months of review and revisions, Social Security benefits are about to go back online.
This will be a very, very secure system. I just think the order of magnitude will, let's say it'll approach 100%.
This time, your information will only get on the Internet if you give an okay in advance. There will be less personal information and better locks to protect it. And if it works and keeps private info private, A huge bureaucracy may be on its way to eliminating paper and red tape.
And I think that the Social Security Administration is being quite brave. They're really putting themselves forth as being the first government agency to try to use this technology to disseminate their information.
But who's going to use it? Only about a third of U.S. homes have computers, and most of the users are in their 20s and 30s.
People on the internet tend to be young. They are far from retirement. They tend to be employed.
Yet those older folks, most in need of benefit information, remain mostly disconnected. For them, it's paper, envelopes, and stamps, and that long wait for the mailman. Don Knapp, CNN, San Francisco.
Although the Clinton administration disagrees, FBI Director Louis Freeh says the government should control how U.S. computer users scramble their data to keep it secret. Freeh told a Senate subcommittee it's a public safety issue. He wants to make sure wiretaps can still be used to combat serious crime. A law went into effect this week in Texas that allows astronauts to vote from space. John Blaha was aboard the Mir space station during the 1996 presidential election. In fact, his mission started before absentee balloting was available. So now, voting will be allowed via secure email. And that's some of the computer news this week. I'm Greg Lefebvre at the Tech Desk in San Francisco. Brian, back to you.
Thank you, Greg. And Greg will be back a little later in the show with the latest in high-tech help for your vacation, if you haven't already had one. But first, where to find a doctor who is on your health plan? The answer? As close as your Extranet.
Can you identify this face?
I was kind of worried about what that generation would think, you know.
This is artist and composer Yoko Ono. In the 1960s, she became a member of the avant-garde Fluxus movement. After 2 unsuccessful marriages, she wed Beatle member John Lennon in 1969. In 1980, Lennon was gunned down outside the couple's New York City apartment. In 1981, Ono accepted the Album of the Year Grammy for her collaboration with Lennon on Double Fantasy.
On the next Q&A, disaster is brewing in the Pacific. It will leave devastation in its wake. Is the world ready for the next coming of El Nino? Your questions by phone, fax, or email only on CNN International.
Do you have an opinion about something you've seen on CNN? If so, tell us about it. Call our viewer comment line at 1-404-525-4866. Your comment may be replayed on the air, so give us a call and let your voice be heard.
Fast-paced at this year's U.S. Open. The competition making it, of course, one of the biggest events in tennis. Last week, you may recall, we gave you a taste of the official U.S. Open website, but this game's use of technology doesn't end there. And now Sean Calebs takes us behind the scenes to where the Summer Olympic Games left off last year.
Technology is changing the way tennis fans are keeping up with the latest scores from this year's U.S. Open. In addition to the $250 million upgrade of the National Tennis Center, IBM has set up a high-speed data network that's technically faster than those 140-mile-an-hour serves. It starts with the courtside umpires ticking off the score using an electronic pen connected to their touchscreen computer. The data travels instantly onto the World Wide Web.
You're looking at sub-second response times. It's really incredible now. With the new facility, we were able to install a fiber network which we didn't have the luxury of having in the past. But it's part of the new facility, and it certainly assists in the distribution of the data, not only on-site but off-site to the internet.
Embarrassed by glitches that marred IBM's website coverage at last summer's Olympic Games in Atlanta, the company this time added numerous backup systems. But that still couldn't prevent a 4-hour Labor Day blackout of its website, www.usopen.org. Beyond the latest scores, IBM is also putting up photos and other facts and figures from America's top tennis tournament.
We're tracking the fastest serve and all the stats, how many aces, how many faults, all that information as it happens is posted on the website. We're also capturing live images from the courts, so people who might not be watching it on TV can have still images from courtside, which those images actually being grabbed from the TV cameras.
With so many matches going at the same time, for fans at the U.S. Open, perhaps the best way to track all the action is the electronic scoreboard. Sean Cadleb, CNN Financial News at the U.S. Open.
Sometimes there's information you want available to some, but not to all. And that goes double on the web. If you put it on the internet, the world sees it. Well, here's where the Extranet comes in. Here to tell us more about it, CNN's Fred Katayama.
These workers at Netscape are not hackers, but they can access data on doctors. They use their ID numbers to enter Prudential Healthcare's internal computer system. They're browsing the Extranet.
Say I want a local physician, and I want to find it within, say, a certain number of miles from my home.
Presto, a list of doctors plus a map to get you there. Extranets are like private clubs. These corporate computer networks admit only special guests. Passwords are issued to select customers, suppliers, and partners so they can tap into the company's network via the World Wide Web. Prudential rushed in a race against rivals. It set up its Extranet in 90 days. A study by Network Computing magazine found that 26% of businesses surveyed currently run Extranets. Another 26% plan to deploy one.
Benefits managers have told us that they get a lot of phone calls which in turn have to be referred directly to the insurance company. In this case, by putting this tool on the desktop or the home computer of the member, we eliminate phone calls that generally go into the HR area.
And cut down on calls to Prudential as well, saving money. From Motown to Moneytown, companies are scrambling to extend their networks.
They can shift many of their lease circuits across the public network at a lower cost and also reach a potentially greater number of people.
Ford is building an Extranet to connect the head office with every dealer. Morgan Stanley's new Extranet allows clients to access its research reports. Back at Prudential, the company hopes to expand its Extranet so that doctors, corporate benefit managers, agents, and brokers can also access its network. Fred Katayama, CNN Financial News, Roseland, New Jersey.
And we have much more to come on this edition of the CNN Computer Connection. Straight ahead, we dip into the fun on some great ice cream sites on the web. Plus, a look at the latest version of one of the most popular video role-playing games of all time.
When your life begins to blossom, China Airlines is there for you. For you, we blossom every day. China Airlines.
Planning your next trip? Navigate the World Wide Web to cnnhotels.com. Here, you'll access the latest information on over 2,000 CNN International partner hotels worldwide. Linked to CNN Interactive, one of the top 10 sites on the web, it's the most detailed and easiest route to accommodations, rates, and room reservations. Before you check in, check out cnnhotels.com.
Where can you indulge in a tub of ice cream and leave the calories behind? Only in cyberspace. With a look at what's on the net, I'm Lori Waffenschmidt. Begin your sweet escape at Haagen-Dazs.com and click your way through the Haagen-Dazs moment. This interactive soap opera lets you make all the moves, over a cup of ice cream, of course. Learn how vanilla and raspberries are used to make the ice cream you crave. And browse through some seasonal recipes like Mocha Hazelnut Symphony to whip up tonight's dessert. If after all this talk you just want the real thing, find the Haagen-Dazs restaurant closest to you and dig in. The Edie's ice cream website is packed with fun for the whole family. Try your hand at a crossword puzzle. Print out the Rocky Road coloring page for the kids, or download the official Edie's screensaver for yourself. Every type and flavor of Edie's is previewed, and there's even nutritional information for the healthy at heart. If your sweet tooth isn't satisfied yet, it's time for a taste of Ben & Jerry's. Sit down with the great Habini to have your innermost questions answered, or visit the Ben & Jerry's virtual pumpkin patch to create your very own jack-o'-lantern over and over again. Before you leave, wander through the flavor graveyard to find out what happened to your long-lost favorites. We can't talk about ice cream without mentioning popsicles. Command your ship through this world of frozen fun at popsicle.com. Test your puzzle skills with the Purple Martian. Alter the universe to get the planets back in orbit. And don't forget to send a note home. That's what's on the net. I'm Lori Waffenschmidt.
All right, gamers, it is one of the most anticipated new video game releases this season. Already, hundreds of thousands of people have pre-ordered versions of Final Fantasy VII, which should begin to show up on store shelves this weekend. Now here's Steve Baxter to tell us what all the fuss is about.
It's the 7th Final Fantasy, a video role-playing game that just keeps going and going. All the previous versions of this popular video game were made exclusively for Nintendo consoles, but Final Fantasy VII can only be played on the Sony PlayStation. Released in Japan last January, the title sold over 2 million copies in just 3 days. The game is the first of a new generation of computer and video games where the image quality of the gameplay approaches the quality of the computer-generated cutscenes used to introduce or further the storyline. Final Fantasy VII is the largest PlayStation product to date. Over 50 hours of intense gameplay, hundreds of beautiful 3D screens, and a complex storyline are included in the 3-CD set. Squaresoft has created one of the most cinematic interactive experiences ever. Final Fantasy VII has an interesting collection of worlds where no two screens are the same, and the classic combat scenes are as exciting as ever. Steve Baxter, CNN reporting.
Coming up next, a very fast car. Plus, using the internet for your vacation, before, during, and after.
There's some cool information, so we can look like experts when we get there.
World PC Expo 97. The greatly expanded World PC Expo 97, now Asia's largest multi-platform PC exhibition, will be held for 4 days from September 24th in Japan.
It can take some creative planning to use those frequent flyer miles. Only a small percentage of seats are available to travelers using frequent flyer points, and those go quickly. You might try adjusting your travel schedule. For example, let's say you're flying to Britain. If seats to London are sold out, try flights to nearby Birmingham or Manchester. Then rent a car or take a train to your final destination. That's today's travel advisory from CNN.
It may not even look much like a car. This is a jet car in action last year in the Nevada desert, going so fast that the tail of the vehicle lifted off the ground and it tipped over. Craig Breedlove is the driver of the Spirit of America, and he has a rebuilt jet car, and he is heading back into the desert to claim the world land speed record, which has been held by the British since 1983.
I have some unfinished business from last year. I don't really have anything to prove this year. I mean, we just really are still trying to get the record back for America.
But even that is not enough for Breedlove. He wants to break the speed of sound at 765 miles per hour. Our Dick Wilson will be there as the British and American teams go head-to-head at Black Rock Desert, and we'll bring you that story later this month. The science fiction film Total Recall explored the idea that someday we might not go on vacation anymore. We'd just have the memory of the trip implanted into our brains. Well, we're not quite there yet, thankfully. But technology can help us to plan and enjoy our trips, and CNN's Greg Lefebvre returns to tell us more.
As Americans begin the second vacation season, the one after Labor Day, many turn to the internet before and after.
Go to Monterey and take a look at the aquarium.
Otis Morgan and his son planned their trip to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, then took along a Newton palm-top computer loaded with info as their personal tour guide.
You don't have to carry around a bunch of paper and stuff.
There's some cool information, so we can look like experts when we get there. I can do really intricate searches with it. Keeps events, it keeps the entire agenda of the trip, actually.
Long after the vacation, the pictures live on in cyberspace.
Here's one that I like.
Doug Greenberg goes on the web to browse snaps from his camping trip in the California Sierra.
Here's a picture of my wife and my younger son.
Greenberg sent his film to one of several online processors. A password lets him see the roll, pick the shots he wants to print, or email to relatives, or even put on a gift. He swaps the immediacy of a one-hour photo lab for the convenience of sending the pictures instantly anywhere in the world.
Click on things you want to have them do for you, and I mean, you have to know how to go from one web page to another. That's about it.
And for the many families who've left items behind, Morgan's palm-top computer doubles as an inventory manager.
At the hotel, it's really easy to go through a checklist, and it's like, oh yeah, we have this, have this, have this, have this, and we're gone.
Are some travelers too busy making memories to remember their luggage? Greg Lefebvre, CNN, San Francisco.
And that is our trip for this week, and thank you for coming along. I'm Brian Nelson. Next week on the CNN Computer Connection, Congress is back at work. Some would say dragged, kicking and screaming toward the 21st century. One U.S. senator is leading a lonely fight on the Hill to do what millions of us already do, bring his laptop to work. We'll see why he can't. That'll be next week here on the CNN Computer Connection. And now we're going to leave you with a few of the more personal websites devoted to Princess Diana.